Hello and welcome! Today I'm in the new French battleship, the Dunkerque. She is a tier 6 premium battleship in the unreleased French line. I don't know when the Dunkerque herself will be released either, nor do I know her pricing, but I imagine that she will be priced somewhere around the price that the Warships was at, because, you know, she is also a tier 6 premium battleship. Also, I would like to apologize if I ever call her the Dunkerque, because, well, I can't speak a lick of French, and that's what I read when I read the name of the ship. I know I did look it up, and I know that I should call her the Dunkerque, but, you know, I might by accident not do it, and I imagine many others will be doing the same. So, moving on to the ship, first of all, these are my modules. Basically, I want my guns not to break, I want better dispersion, and I don't like fires. These are my commander skills, which is just basics of survivability and expert marksman. I guess I would take superintendent after this. So, what is so special about this ship? Well, first of all, she is French. Second of all, she has only two main batteries, and they are both at the front, carrying 4 guns each. They do have pretty good angles, firing angles, so you can still move away while firing at the enemies, so it's not like a suicide ship, but, well, you can't really run straight away. At least not while firing, and, you know, usually you want to fire your guns. She has, actually, secondaries that also have 4 guns on them at the very back, which in this game probably aren't very useful due to how secondaries and main batteries differ, especially because she is tier 6, which means that you have the manual secondary skill, it's not going to be that useful for her. Her anti-air is rather poor, and her dispersion is abysmal. It's like Colorado levels, but I don't know the Sigma, so it might be even worse, although this salvo was very good, like I got really lucky. Her main battery is 330mm and her frontal armor is 25mm. The frontal armor in this ship is very important because, you know, because your guns are at the front, what you can do is mimic the high tier battleship playstyle, which is to simply point your bow towards the enemies and just sit there and fire, and maybe reverse. Maybe go forward, doesn't matter. Because, you know, you can just pick it. She is really fast, especially for a tier 6 battleship. Almost 30 knots. Her maneuverability is about the same as a Fusa. She is about as armored as well. But the reason why the 25mm bow armor is important is that she can't overmatch herself from the front. Overmatch is essentially when your caliber of shell is so high that even if the enemy ship is angled, if the armor isn't thick enough, the shells will still penetrate. This is why, for instance, tier 7 battleships are able to penetrate each other from the front. And because she is tier 6, against other tier 6 battleships, except for the Warships and the new German battleships that will come around at some point, at least unless they change the gun caliber, only those will be able to overmatch her from the front. That's from tier 6 ones, but all the tier 7s, tier 8s will be able to overmatch her from the front, which will be actually pretty bad for her, because if you get up-tiered, you won't be able to tank nearly as much as you can if you are the top tier yourself. But again, like I said, her dispersion is abysmal. It's worse than, well, the Tirpitz, for instance, at least per kilometer. Her maximum range is 18.2 kilometers, which is completely sufficient. Okay, so the Nuremberg got taken care of, so now it's a fight against the Fuso. Basically, I'm just gonna keep pointing my nose at her, and because she can't overmatch me from the front, she will have to try to hit me from the side. But because all my guns are at the front, I don't mind if I only show my front towards her, so that's what I will try to keep doing. The Fuso tries to get all her guns on point on me, so what she does is she shows me her broadside, which enables me to hit her really hard. the thing is that she only has 330mm main battery caliber, so her penetration of armor isn't as great. Against a Fuso, it's fine. But if you are up against something like a Nagato, it gets a lot more difficult to get something like a Citadel hit. Like, even here, I only got one Citadel hit total against her, even though I hit her with rather many shells when she was showing broadside. But against the Nagato I had like a point-blank range fight and I didn't get any. And, you know, like I said, because the Nagato can overmatch her from the front, well, you're gonna have a bad time. And the secondaries on her also don't... Like, I don't like her because they are mostly behind the ship, or like at the back, which means that, well, they can't really fire all that much. You will have to show broadside more or less for most of them to fire, and one of the batteries will definitely not be able to fire on that one side. But then again, like I said, she is tier 6, which means that manual secondaries aren't going to be that useful anyway, so maybe it's not that important. But I think her main issue is her, well, the fact that she is rather inaccurate at range. Having something like 13.4 meters per kilometer dispersion, which puts it at a really high level at her maximum range, is really poor. But I mean, it is what it is. She definitely has her advantages, which is the guns at the front, which is a rather unique thing. And I think that she will definitely be okay. Like, I would definitely play this ship. Although I'm not sure if I would like to play her more than the Fuso though, because I really like the Fuso. But I think she is fine. Because she is fast, something you don't get at other lower tier battleships, except I guess the Congo. But, I mean, this ship has the same amount of guns as the Congo, except you can point all of them towards the front. So I guess that dispersion and the caliber is more of a balancing act, you know, to make her not too overpowered. Because, I don't know, I don't think you can really understate how useful it is for you to be able to point your nose at an enemy and still have all your guns at the front. On top of that, her guns, well, rotate really, really quickly. Something like 30 seconds for 180 degrees, so that one's excellent as well. I would say that she isn't really that great against battleships. She is more of a cruiser hunter, something like the Scharnhorst, I guess. But not so much from range. She is better at fighting off similar tier battleships though than the Scharnhorst, because, you know, her caliber is higher. And, well, again, like I said, it's very difficult to understate how useful being able to point all your guns towards the front is. She has one rather massive downside though. Her anti-air is worse than the Fuso's, which means that her anti-air is really weak. And it has got me in trouble in quite a few matches. This match itself will have just been essentially cleaning up, and well, that's the game. I did get 6 citadels, which is a bit unusual for me in this ship. Because usually I tend to get like, you know, less of them, 1 or 2 maybe. I guess I did fight a lot of cruises this match. Then again, I did 113,000 damage. And I got 2,300 base experience. Like, this is pretty difficult to compare to, well, anybody else. I'm almost double the Fuso and the Bogue on my team. And remember that this match lasted only 9 minutes and 19 seconds. But I would say that this is a bit of an unusual match. Like, I usually didn't get games this great. So I guess let's go over the stats of the ship. By the way, these are the secondaries I mentioned earlier at the back. Like, you know, this one won't be able to shoot towards the right side of the ship, so You're gonna be losing out quite a bit on the secondaries there. But the main batteries at the front they look really cool, like these 4 guns on each turret. So anyways, to the stats. Her consumables are normal, nothing really special here. Modules are also normal, nothing like the US battleships get. Stat-wise, here's the main gun, 28-second reload time, 31.6 seconds 180-degree turn, which this is with expert marksman though. 4800 HE damage, 9700 AP damage. Armor and HP, I guess. This is the range, and 29.5 knots. So let's look at this in detail. 52,600 HP. Armor looks like this: 25 millimeters casemate, forward, aft, and deck armor. 27% torpedo protection. So I guess it's kind of similar to what the other battleships at this tier get. Artillery-wise, 2 turrets of 4 guns, 330 millimeters. Oh yeah, her shells are fairly fast, so aiming isn't that difficult. What I would like to mention to you guys is that while her caliber of gun is lower, this ship, unlike the Scharnhorst, is actually able to would actually be good at firing HE. While she isn't as accurate as the Scharnhorst, although the difference is pretty small, the Dunkerque has a 35% fire chance per shell, which is incredible because this is equal to what a Yamato shell has. And a Fuso shell, for instance, at this tier is like 25%. So she could actually set rather many fires. Although I don't know how good the HE shells are. I guess 4800 is good enough, especially for a tier 6, but you should only use HE against higher tier battleships than you are that you couldn't really properly penetrate. Otherwise, I wouldn't recommend it. So her anti-air is rather weak. These are the long-range guns, 5.2 kilometer range. This is without AFT, so the range is as high as a Montana, I think. But the problem is that they only deal a combined 54 AA DPS, and then the mid-range AA is 12 AA DPS, which is really small. And this is the super short range is 40, but it's so little. Like, this is such a close distance that planes only spend a handful of seconds in this range. Maneuverability wise, she's very good. 14 second rudder shift. This is even less than a Fuso. Turning circle is about the same as a Fuso, but speed is much higher. And concealment, 16.4 kilometer surface detectability and 11 or 12 kilometers air, but no plane can see past 11 kilometers, so this 1 extra kilometer doesn't matter. So this is essentially the stats of the Dunkerque. I find that she is a niche ship. Like, she is definitely good. I would definitely play her if I had her once she gets released. If I were to play tier 6, that is. Otherwise, not so much. I would prefer this ship to the Warspite, actually. While I think that the Warspite would be able to be in a very preferable position against this ship itself, I find that overall, in like the broad circumstances of a game, you might have a better time with this one since she is a lot faster than the Warspite, and you know, she can point her bow at the enemies and fire all her guns. The Warspite can't. And it doesn't take an Ice Age to come and pass for her guns to turn. So yeah, the Dunkerque. I think she's a really nice French ship. And if the other French ships are similar, then that line will definitely be fun to play. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I would like to thank a Patreon now. Let's pick Active 02 this time. Thank you very much for your continued support, and I will definitely be doing some more videos of this ship in the coming days, I imagine. So, thanks for watching and I hope I see you next time.